Well, sure enough, infrastructure is key, but also businesses have another thing waiting for them. Political risks and violence are key threats that could slow down businesses this year, and that's according to the 2022 Alliance Risk Barometer. In Nigeria, there are about 41.5 million MSMEs responsible for 59.6 million jobs, and that represents over 86% of the national workforce. With more attention being given to the political campaigns and strategies, what risks do micro, small and medium enterprises in Nigeria stand to face this year, which is preceding the major election year? Well, we have Kristen Wilson, lead strategist of Sports Group, speaking to us now. She joins us from California of the United States. Hello, Kristen. Good morning. So, Kristen, you were telling us the environment now and what businesses should be doing.
Absolutely. So I was talking about the fact that we're already starting to see some of the effects of the increases in inflation. We're also seeing how some of the other things that are happening in the geopolitical arena. We were just talking about, oil prices, climbing up, crashing, and so on, expected to crash. And so on and so forth. All these are affecting the operations of small businesses around the country. It's becoming more expensive to deliver services, more expensive to acquire and move goods. And so what's critical for small businesses, MSMEs at this point in time, is actually some very, very intentional planning, especially around finances, but also around people management. One of the things that happens at a time like this is that the strain is being felt by the business, right? The costs, their relationships with their vendors and their suppliers are strained. But what's also happening is that these effects are being felt at the level of the individual. And unlike much larger businesses that have, processes and structure in place to be able to withstand these kinds of shocks, small businesses are extremely reliant on the functionality of the individual, right? How much every member of your 5 or 10 person or 15-person team is bringing to the table. And so it's really important that people shore up their people operations, right? It's important to check in with your staff. How are they coping? A distracted employee is bringing less productivity to the table. They're likely distracted because the increased strain on their resources is causing them stress, perhaps elsewhere. This is an economy where a side hustle is the norm rather than unusual. And so you want to make sure that as a small business that's relying on every single member of your team to drive productivity and to drive service delivery, that you're engaging in some really intentional and long-term people operations planning to make sure that you're not sort of caught in a bad position due to a sudden maybe career switch by somebody who's been looking for a new opportunity or has been looking. We are seeing, really, really high rates of migration outside of the country. For a lot of people, their migration plans were put in limbo due to the pandemic. Those migration plans have now been fast-tracked, so lots of people are leaving. So there's lots of transitions happening right now, not just due to the election, but due to the economic pressures that have prevailed over the last, 3 to 4 years that are forcing people to make lots of decisions that, change the way that change the availability of the workforce to existing businesses as well as to new businesses. So two key things here: financial planning and people operations planning. You need to make sure that your finances are set up to withstand whatever shocks might come, dramatic price increases, shortages. You need to look at your existing relationships and make sure that if your credit line is about to expire, perhaps this is the time to start to ask for an extension on your credit line, to maybe even increase the size of your credit line, because I think that having access to capital is also going to be really, really important for flexibility. And I think liquidity is key at this moment. So what small businesses need to do, most importantly, is to make sure that they have really clear and robust plans in place.
Yeah, I guess that plan will have to include a plan B, because when you mentioned people management and the fact that there's been a lot of brain drain in recent years due to economic pressure, some of the economic realities of Nigeria, I mean, it might be kind of difficult for MSMEs. They don't have a lot of liquidity at their disposal, to attract and keep the brains here. And they do not have the power to control the institutions and the system. So I think this is one difficult area for MSMEs at this time.
I think it's really difficult, but I think that this is where MSMEs can leverage the kind of agility that they have because they're small, right? And I think it's looking at alternative configurations. Most of our workforce is made up of Gen Z and millennials, right, in a country like Nigeria, and for most of sub-Saharan Africa. We know about this demographic that they value flexibility, they value opportunities to learn. And so even if you're not able to offer that excellent salary perk that a large business or more competitive business is able to offer, perhaps if you're willing to offer more flexibility, so maybe remote work 2 or 3 times a week, or some sort of half days to adjust for some of the things that the projects that they might be doing elsewhere. I think that thinking in versatile ways about what it means to build a team, what it means to coordinate a team, definitely will expand the pool of high quality talent that's available to MSMEs. If you don't need somebody to come in 5 days a week, don't ask them to come in 5 days a week, right? I think leverage resources for when you need them, because what that allows you to do is suddenly have a competitive offer available whereas you otherwise wouldn't. Because if somebody's trying to hire me for, 200,000 naira to come in 5 days a week, but you're also offering 150,000 naira for me to come in two times a week, then those two offers are looking a bit different, right? Your offer is lower, but your offer perhaps gives me more flexibility and allows me to have more control. I do the calculus of, okay, I don't have to sit in traffic for several hours. I don't have to spend money on fuel. I don't have to think about buying lunch, packing lunch, and so on, and all of these things. And so suddenly your proposition, even though it's less money, becomes more attractive. And so these are some of the things that MSMEs need to think about, right? And this is all in that sort of like people operations planning piece, right? Looking at your target operating model and seeing what are the things that I can tweak to give me a lot more flexibility, to give me a lot more options in the kinds of people that I can hire. We're also seeing on the continent an explosion of marketplaces that are offering talent on an ad hoc or contractual basis. That's actually a really, really good thing for MSMEs, because what it also means is that you don't have to take on the burden of hiring a full-time employee who's on a 1 or 2 or 3 year contract. You can suddenly start to employ people on a short-term basis to, serve the immediate need that you want, whether it's for 3 months or a month or 6 months. That flexibility is absolutely something that MSMEs should be taking advantage of, because it allows them to compete. But it does require planning, right? And it does require agility and flexibility on the parts of company leaders and business owners.
And this also brings to mind a lot of the people living in Nigeria, traveling to the Western world, say they're going there to school, and a lot of them end up schooling and working. And it seems this is one platform that a lot of businesses in Nigeria are not using. What happens to the students? I mean, you can work with the students. A lot of Nigerians, when they leave Nigeria to go to school, they're schooling and working, and this works for the employer, works for the employee. So I guess it's time to also adopt this kind of system in Nigeria.
Absolutely. This is exactly true. And like you said, a lot of people, the way that they get out is to enroll for a master's program or for some sort of degree. And they have trouble finding jobs, or the jobs that are available to them because they're immigrant might feel demeaning or uninteresting to them. So as an employer, you have somebody who says, okay, I'm leaving, things are hard. Rather than saying, okay, bye-bye, maybe what you want to think about is this person has received all this training, they have all this institutional knowledge. Is there a flexible structure that we can negotiate that works for me and works for them, and allows me to, even if it's for a short-term transition period, allows me to basically still not have this huge shock to my business? Because typically when people are announcing, they're announcing within the window of their notice period, right? I have to leave in 2 weeks, or I have to leave in a month, right? Or if you're a business, it's a 2-month notice period, have to leave in 2 months, right? But suddenly you can buy yourself 3 months or 6 months of that person's expertise, a proper offboarding and handover period, an opportunity to train a new or junior staff member to be able to take on that role. So that agility and that creativity in people operations is actually super critical. And the good thing as well is that there's lots and lots of infrastructure, both existing and new, coming up to help businesses navigate these kinds of events.
All right. Well, we do have a lot to talk about, but unfortunately, we do have to end this segment now. Thank you so much, Kristen Wilson, for joining us for this conversation. Very thoughtful initiatives you brought there, and I do hope that a couple of MSMEs operators are watching this program and would try to put that into practice. Kristen Wilson is lead strategist at Sports Group.
Pleasure.
Enjoy the
Thanks
rest of
for
your
having
day.
me.
Yeah, great.
You too.